Good morning and welcome to Vlogmas Day 11. Today I am gonna do a weekly roundup of everything that I've been working on. I'm gonna show progress on my projects. This week there's not gonna be a finished object, but progress on all of my whips. And we're also going to talk a little bit about my upcoming Christmas Day cast-on. So if you are mainly here for the podcast, I'm going to add a timestamp right down here below so that you can easily skip ahead. So I didn't put out any videos the last couple of days. I didn't have any words, but now my words are back. Words of joy, words of gratitude, they're all coming back to me. And I am seriously so happy to be chatting with you again. Last time we spoke was late afternoon on Sunday, where I was like, I'm feeling good. Maybe I'm a little bit tired, but all is good. Then I went to my trusted couch and I was crocheting and having a good time, except I kept feeling worse and worse. And the next morning, I was sick again. Like, really, it was back with a vengeance. Monday was also the day that we were gonna put Mom's ashes in the ground. I've been keeping the ashes here. They've been sitting over in my kitchen window, together with Mom's old funny angel and a little piglet that Peter bought for her. She did have a thing with piglets. But it was time to put them in the ground. So we met with my brother and his family in the Blue Hour, and we put the ashes in the ground. We placed her stone, and we said our last goodbyes. And while the whole thing obviously was heartbreaking, it was also really nice. It was no longer those tears of desperation and I want my mom. It was tears that came from a place of acceptance. I felt closure of the formal part of the grieving process. It's not like I woke up the next morning and didn't miss my mom, but it did feel like this is it. Now we have finished it, tied everything off. It felt good, but my body did not feel good. And yesterday, I just kept getting more and more sick. Actually, I do have a doctor's appointment today, which I don't do doctors, but I am gonna go see a doctor because this is too much and it has been going on for too long. So we better check it out. But other than that, I have a fun day planned. I have a lot of editing to do on the Danish podcast, and then in the afternoon, Peter and we are gonna go do some Christmas shopping, get some of the gifts, and we're gonna go have a nice dinner together and then a movie. To go see a movie, that's one of the things that I have really missed in the years that we were living abroad. Because in Italy, we wouldn't go watch a movie because we do not understand Italian enough that we'd be able to follow a movie. In Texas, I mean, we could, but in Texas, it's all about being with the family. And in Dubai, for some reason, it just never happens. But now we're here. We're gonna go watch a Danish movie. It sounds good from the reviews and everything I've heard about it. So I am really excited for that.
Sig nærmer tiden, da jeg må væk. Jeg hører vinterens stemme. Ti også jeg kun her på træk, og hæver anden steds hjemme. Jeg vidste længe, jeg skal herfra. Det hjertet ikke betynger, og derfor lige glad norden, på gennem rejsen jeg synger. Jeg skulle synge lidt mere måske vel også lidt bedre, men mørke dage jeg måtte se, og storme rev mine fjeder. Jeg ville gerne i Guds natur.
I just went to the doctor, which is not my favorite activity, but I thought, I've been sick for too long, and sure enough, I have pneumonia, which makes perfectly sense. I mean, it's a good explanation for me feeling so crappy for such a long time. So hopefully things will start to get better now. And now it is time to talk about some knitting and some crochet, because if there is something that will make me feel better, it is talking about my crafting. I have, of course, been working on the blanket. And if you are following along with Vlogmas, you will have seen it grow slowly but steady. I am now here. I wouldn't say that's half a blanket, but it's getting close, isn't it? Almost half a blanket. I actually have 10, I think, isn't it 10? Yeah. I have 10 more hexes to add. It's the hexes that I have been making these past couple of days. I have crocheted them up. I have steam blocked them. They're ready to put into the blanket. Probably that's what I'm gonna do this afternoon. I think so. I am not sure about the whole going to the movies thing. That may be an activity for another day. But yeah, I would like to get these into my blanket. And just look at this tangled mess. It's not really tangled. When I make the hexes, this was, by the way, yesterday's color. It's beautiful, right? I always leave a really long tail at the end, because a long tail will be just enough to sew it onto the blanket, so I don't have to weave in an end first and then take another yarn to sew it in. So that's how I've been going about it. Yeah, so I am ready to start attaching these hexes, and I better do it today so that I don't end up with a ton of hexes, because that's actually what I wanted to avoid. I haven't even opened my advent for today. I have it here with me. Day 11. Do you know, when I was a child, December 11 was called the devil's birthday, because that was the day where taxes was due. I don't know that you call it that anymore, but as a child, I found that very, very interesting. These days, I don't think about the devil on December 11. I think about a very, very good friend that I have, my brother's wife, that's her birthday. I prefer her over the devil. Okay. Wow. What was I thinking? This is so colorful. Does it even go with the blanket? I'm actually going to do what I have done with other colors. I am going to crochet. No, it actually looks pretty nice, doesn't it? I'm going to crochet a hexie, and if I don't think that it goes well with the other colors of the blanket, I'm just going to use it as a little mug rug or something. But looking at it here, I think it's gonna work out beautifully. I want to crochet this up right away, but maybe I should attach the 10 hexies before I add to the bunch. But yeah, definitely something to look forward to. On my Vlogmas episode 0 or day 0, I do talk a lot about the blanket, about the pattern that I'm following and the modifications that I'm making to it. So I'm not going to talk about that again. I just suggest that you go back and watch that episode if you haven't already, because that is where I talk about how I modified the hexies, how I changed the way that they're joined, and also how I made these half hexies to put at the beginning and the end of the blanket to give it a straight edge at the ends. On the sides, I'm not going to do anything. I like this ribbled side. I think that's pretty, and in the pattern there is instructions on how to add a border also going in this zigzag. So that's going to be, I think that's going to be pretty, but it was just a bit much up here at the beginning of the blanket. So these half hexies, they are really just half hexies. For the first round, I followed the pattern, and then from round 2, I just started working back and forth. I am using half of the stitches plus 1 so that I have an extra stitch to turn and to have an edge. So it's super simple, and I think it has a great effect on the blanket. I have also been working on the other blanket, my knit blanket, in the beautiful Christmassy project bag from my friend Bitten. This is the baby plate from Aftenstrik, and I am using a reclaimed yarn from Garnspecialisten together with some drops Puna and some different gray tones. It is slow going for sure, but that's a quality, I think, in a project like this. There is something very, very soothing to these long, long rows of garter stitch, just going back and forth without a care in the world. I have also modified this pattern. I don't know what's the matter with me, but this is a small modification. I have added not an I-cord, but an edging where I slipped the last 2 stitches with the yarn held in front. And then also in the pattern, this you are gonna embroider vertical stripes. And in the pattern, the stripy sections are the same width as the non-stripy sections. Does that make sense? I'm gonna add a photo just because I can. I've decided to make the non-stripy sections a little larger than the stripy sections. And for that, I had to do a little bit of math to cast on the correct number of stitches. And I will say I did the math and the cast on with a fever. I don't remember. I remember the principles, that what I decided to do was say, okay, I'm going to have 5 stitches in the stripy sections and 7 in the non-stripy sections. That means a pattern repeat of 12 stitches. And then I added an extra 7 stitches so that the sides would be symmetrical. I wonder if I also added the 4 edging stitches. I need to count these stitches, but I need my head to be clearer before I start counting. But yeah, I am going to give you an update at some point, but it is roughly 250 stitches, roughly. And I have had some questions about how wide I make my blankets. I don't make them very, very wide. 120, 130 centimeters. I actually think that the hexi blanket is a little bit wider than that because I'm 150 from wrist to wrist. So this is probably 150. But usually I would say 130 is more than enough if you just want a lap blanket, something that you can just get cozy with. Of course, if you're making a blanket for a bed, you're going to want to go with the size of the bed. But for these just cozying up lap blankets, I will say between 120 and 150 centimeters is what works for me. I have also been working on my pistväck scarf, and it's growing. It's grown significantly. This is where I was last week. No, significantly in 1 whole week. Let's just go with it's grown. It's grown, and I don't have too far to go on it. I have decided that this is going to be part of my Christmas Eve outfit because I really like to have some knitwear on my person for Christmas. But every year I find that I come in even the lightest sweater and I overheat instantly because lots of people, lots of candles. Christmas Eve is a very warm thing. So I thought a nice black dress, really light, one of my summer dresses, and then this scarf around my neck. I'm gonna feel festive, I'm gonna feel pretty, and I will be proud to wear something that I made. That also means that the deadline has been pushed. I'm in no hurry to finish it. I'm just picking it up whenever I want to. I actually was thinking about bringing this to the movies tonight. We are gonna go watch a movie probably. And the size of it and the fact that it's stockinette stitch in the round would make it a really nice choice for movie knitting. But I am painting with yarn as I am making this. I am having fun with the stripes. I like working on the stripes, and I have pulled out stripes if they were in the wrong place. I can't plan my stripes ahead, which means that I will need good light to look at this as I'm working on it. I'm not sure the other people in the movie theater would appreciate me asking for, please turn on the lights so I can check my knitting. So that's not gonna be what I am bringing with me. I of course also have cast on of the week, because why not? And another beautiful Christmas bag by Tina Mai. She sells her bags on Instagram. She uses these old fabrics. She reclaims old needle points, and then she makes them into these beautiful project bags. And this one in particular, just look at the lining. Just take a look at it. Isn't it pretty? In here, I have a pair of socks. Because, as I said earlier, the plan for today is to go watch a movie. I cannot crochet in the dark. The knit blanket is a lot of knitting to bring to the movies. And also, I need to check what I'm doing, what I'm going to be adding the next stripy color, just to make sure that there's sufficient contrast. Probably can't do that at the movies. So I decided to cast on a pair of socks. And I actually think I showed you this yarn a couple of days ago. It is the skein of Christmas yarn that I had laying up in my studio. I bought it. It is called Christmas in July. I remember buying it a summer. It wasn't this summer. I don't even think it was last summer. Maybe it was summer 2 years ago. The summer of 22. Maybe. It is so beautiful. It is so pretty. It came with a 50-gram stripy skein and then just a 20-gram silver mini. I have just made one round with the mini at the cuff, and then I'm gonna use it for heels and toes. But I thought it would be really nice to get through the ribbing before being at the movies, and I can do that probably on the drive there. And even if I don't, I can do ribbing in the dark. That's not a huge problem. I just wanted to get the socks going so that I had something small, portable, pretty to knit at the movies. And we have the tag here. It is from a lonely sock lady who is a Danish hand dyer who specializes in these amazing self-striping yarns. And yeah, I'm actually quite excited about these socks. They're just gonna be vanilla socks with I'm gonna add an afterthought heel. I'm just gonna do the tube and add an afterthought heel, because I have found that knitting a heel always messes with my gauge. I don't have like a natural sock gauge. I haven't knit enough socks for that. I have a natural sweater gauge, and I can do anything to my sweater and still maintain the same gauge, but I can't for socks. But I found that if I knit a tube and then cut into it and add an afterthought heel, all is gonna be good. So let's see if I'm gonna be wearing Christmas socks this Christmas. There's always next year, right? But for sure, it is pretty. Just look at the colors that's in this gorgeous skein. I can't wait to see all of the colors, to see the stripes. So I am actually quite excited for this, even though it was a practical cast on. I am really excited for it. I showed you last week that I finished my festive yoke cardigan, and I have added some buttons just to the top because I never close my my cardigans all the way down. So often I'll just add a couple of buttons at the top. I wore this during the weekend, and it is pretty. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love this cardigan. It feels Christmassy to me. I don't think I'd wear it in January probably because that's gonna be too close to Christmas, but I could see myself pulling this out in November, no, even October next year, because it's not that Christmassy, but still a little bit just like I wanted it. Where floof. It's knit and drops air. It's not overly fluffy, but yeah, sometimes I will catch some of the floof. Wearing it reminded me of a mistake that I did when I knit this. It has nothing to do with the pattern. This is all on me. Usually when I knit a round yoke sweater or cardigan, I will move some of the increases from the back to the front so that I will have more fabric on the front than on the back. And I do that because on my body, this line from here to here is longer than the line from here over my back to here. So if I move some of the increases to the front, I will actually get a better fit. And that is especially, of course, important in a cardigan because I keep it closed up here, but open for the rest. And there is a little bit of pulling on the fabric. So I wish that I had done that. I didn't. And I can wear it and I can feel pretty in it. No worries, not at all. I was just like, you knew this. I did. I knew that. I always do that on round yoke. Or almost always, as it were. But yeah, maybe you can use the tip. Maybe you have a similar body type to me. Maybe you actually have a different body type. You need more stitches on the back. You can always move the increases around to create the fabric where you need it. And then when you separate sleeves and body, you just take more fabric for the front than for the back. And it looks very, very pretty. Today I am wearing my CDCO 23 in the version where I added some faux cables all over it. I have 4 different versions of the sweater. I just last week showed you how I had made one in a single strand of whole super soft. I had made it short sleeved and now I had lengthened the sleeves to be 3/4 length. I also knitted in, what are they called? Ito Shimo. That is one of my favorite yarns ever. That's also a short sleeve version. I'm not going to lengthen the sleeves on that one because I do have another version that is knit in gray in some Rosarios. That was the original CDCO 23. But yeah, I love this sweater. This is a cashmere blend from A Knitter's World, undyed. And I am loving it. It is so soft and so cozy. And I really like the fit of it. I like that it has a compound raglan so that it has a really good fit on your body. I like the neckline. I don't like the t-shirt that I'm wearing with it. Usually I will wear a tank top with it so it doesn't show, because it does have a rather open neckline, almost a boat neck. Yeah, so pretty, so cozy. And the modifications that I made to add all of these faux cables, they're listed in the original pattern. It's not a new pattern, but it's how I modified it. I even have an episode on the podcast where I take you through the entire process of making it. It was sometime this summer. I'm sorry, I forgot when, but I know that I put a link to the episode in the pattern. Yeah, so that if you want to do the cabled version, you can easily do that. It's very easy because, as I said, it's a faux cable, no cable needle needed. It's just, yeah, knits and pearls and some yarn overs, and you create this wonderful cable pattern. Wearing this, of course, made me think about my Christmas Day cast on for this year. I have this tradition, and I have had that for years and years and years, that during December, I will prepare a very special cast on, something that I have been dreaming about for a longer while, something that I really want to knit. And I will prepare everything. I'll find the pattern, I'll wind the yarn if that is needed, I'll find the needles, make those ready. I'll have everything in a project bag. So come Christmas morning, I can tiptoe down here. I can sit myself in the middle of all the leftovers of a beautiful Christmas Eve, and I can cast on this very special project. And it's one of the highlights of the year for me. I really love Christmas Day. Christmas Day in Denmark is very quiet for many, many families. Back when I was a child, we'd have a Christmas lunch on Christmas Day, which was kind of rough because we just had this huge celebration on the 24th, and then the 25th you were like up and out and at it and filling yourself up again. Peter and I stopped going to those Christmas lunches when we had our kids. And I know that many, many families in Denmark, they keep Christmas Day very sacred. It's at home. It's in your pajamas. It is reading the books that you got from Christmas, knitting, if you're that kind of person, that awesome kind, watching Christmas movies, snacking on the leftovers, and just relaxing into the memories of yet another beautiful Christmas. So yeah, I have started thinking about what is going to be my Christmas Day cast on. For the last couple of years, I have actually prepared a new design, and I would then cast on the first sample on Christmas morning. I don't have a new design in me this year. I have so many ideas. There's just a huge line forming in my creative brain. There's so many things I want to knit, but I don't have the brain space or the time right now for the whole pattern writing process, which is a lot of work, like a ton of work. So this year, I'm gonna be knitting someone else's design. I'm gonna take advantage of someone else's hard work, and I can't wait. I'm just gonna bring you upstairs into my studio and show you, because I am torn between two different patterns, and even with one of the patterns torn between two different yarns. So I'm just going to bring you up there. Here are the options for my Christmas Day cast on. Either I'm gonna knit the Astrid sweater by Junko Okamoto. I have been craving that sweater forever. I can't even remember when I first set my eye on it. And I would knit it in these colors. I would use this charcoal gray drops alpaca as the main color. And then I have collected some different yarns that I'm pretty sure they're going to go together well. There's some Viking yarns, some alpaca, some Flora, and some Quince & Co. Some beautiful colors. I really think it would be pretty. It would be very different from anything else that I own, but I think it would be very, very pretty. The other option is the Stromboli by Caitlin Hunter. I bought that one as soon as it came out because it's so pretty and I think it's super fun to knit. Also, I would really enjoy having that as my spring sweater. We are again going to the Maldives in February. I would love to be able to have a Stromboli to just throw over me in the evenings. Either I would go, both of these are my own hand-dyed yarns. Some old ones, not even the ones that I made this summer, but some that I dyed up years ago. It's a sock yarn, merino nylon. I'm not even sure. Is it a 75-25? I don't even remember. But there's either this gray variegated, very pretty. It would actually be kind of close to the original. And it would for sure be a sweater that would fit with everything else that I own. Or I could go with this glorious golden color. That would be very, very pretty. I'm not sure if this color is going to wash me out. But yeah, Stromboli or Astrid sweater. I'm probably going to knit them both at some point, but which one gets the honor of being my Christmas Day cast on? Maybe you want to join me on Christmas morning casting on something that you know that you're really going to enjoy. Maybe you already have your Christmas Day cast on all planned out. Maybe you even have it packed and ready to go. I know for sure some years I have had mine ready from the beginning of December. If you want to join and you're unsure about what you want to knit, I am going to be releasing a new pattern on December 20. This is not a sweater. This is my trellis cowl and my trellis hat. They're going to come together in one pattern, just like the Advent patterns. They are very much like the Advent patterns. Hat is knit top down, cowl is knit in the round. They're a different gauge. They're slightly lighter than the Advent patterns. And the hat is also smaller, more fitted hat. So the Advent hat is going to be, the trellis hat is going to be more like this. If you want, you can even pull it down. This is actually how I often wear my hats, pulled all the way down to my eyebrows so that I am really, really cozy. I have knit the hat in some drops merino extra fine, just the black which of course makes it difficult to show. But if I allow it to blow out completely, you can see the trellis pattern here on the main body of the hat. And the cowl also has a section with the trellis pattern. You can of course make that section as long or short as you wish, and you can place it where you want. You can place it in front and back, however you want it. You can have the folds of the cowl either at the trellis pattern or somewhere else. These cowls are just so easy to wear. So easy to wear. The cowl I knit in a yarn that I got in the US. I've never heard of them before. It's called Wool Weave, and it is a hand-dyed yarn. Let me see if there's a colorway name on this. No, I don't see a colorway name on it, but it's blackish, like a shaded black, very usable color. I could see a sweater in this. I could use this color for anything because I really like the slight variations and still a very uniform look to the finished project. But yeah, these, I will say, especially the cowl, is such a practical knit, such a practical project to have, because all you're doing is actually working miles and miles of stockinette stitch in the round, and then you have this section of the trellis pattern, but you can add that whenever. In the pattern, I suggest adding it at the beginning. But if you know that, nah, I'm not going to fiddle with a pattern on Christmas morning, then you just cast on and you knit some stockinette stitch in the round, and then you add the trellis section whenever, because after knitting the entire tube, you just graft it together, and no one can tell if you started with the pattern or ended with it or put it smack in the middle. For the cowl, you're going to need, in the size medium, 2 skeins of DK weight. I haven't done the math yet for the other sizes, but slightly less, slightly more. I am going to do the math one of these days when my brain starts to work again. And for the hat, you are gonna need, I don't remember, I'm sorry, again, the math. And I am gonna share, as soon as the patterns are ready, I am gonna share the yardage for each of the projects so that you can get everything ready and set up before Christmas morning if you decide to use them for that. I am gonna have a Christmas discount code, but all of that is gonna come later. I just wanted to show you the samples today because I really like them. And also, since I was wearing my Christmas Day cast on and talking about my Christmas Day cast on, yeah. So much more information to come once I get my ducks in a row, which will be any day now. Any day now. What I am gonna do now is sit and attach the hexies of the last couple of days while watching some Vlogmases. And then later today, I will decide if we're gonna go see the movie as planned. Floof again, I apologize. Or if we're gonna do an at-home movie night instead, which just might be the solution.
I'm not wasting any dreams this Christmas. I've made my wish upon that star. The only dream of which my list consists is